beats me. Just maybe to see how I'd react to it, or just pulling my leg a little bit. The larger conscious system has a good sense of humor. I guess that's the message. So, who knows? And then, of course, it started to work again, and it's worked ever since. Just long enough to, make us call and ask them, please, break us out of this jail. The mic's not working.
I was just wondering how much of your diet has to do with our effectiveness, our diet.
Connection
Because
of diet and effectiveness?
What we ate for lunch today.
Yeah, absolutely. I will talk to that a little bit. I can see people in the audience going, oh no, he was going to talk about that. One of the things that will cloud you need a very clear mind to do this. You see, if you're going to get this subtleties between what you put in there with your imagination, between what you're getting from the data, these can be very subtle differentiations. That's why you have to do it over and over and over again until you get good at it. It's not that, it's not like, being hit by a truck. It's not that obvious. These things can be subtle. So you need a very sharp, very clear, very quiet mind. One of the things that will cloud your mind and make it as foggy as can be is sugar. Any form, any sort. The only one I know of that doesn't, if used in small quantities, is barley malt. Everything else that I have experimented with puts me in a fog for at least 4 hours. Any tiny amount. Matter of fact, the sensitivity is enough that if you walk into a bakery and breathe the air, it can cloud your mind. There's that much sugar just in the air. Okay. Sugar, like anything else, has a vapor pressure, and you get molecules of sugar in the air. It doesn't take much. Depends on how sensitive you are to it. Now, all of us get so much sugar that we don't notice because we live in a fog all the time. For us, fog is normal, right? Fog doesn't seem foggy at all. Fog seems like that's the way it always is. That's not a fog. That's just life. If you go off of sugar and preservatives, chemical additives, this sort of thing, artificial colors, some artificial flavors, you'll find that suddenly your meditation gets a lot clearer and a lot crisper and a lot better. It makes a big difference in the quality of your consciousness. Okay, so diet does have a big effect on your mental state.
I think so. I got your apple core, but the ridges, I thought it was a clock. But I had the two sides, the metal sides, and I thought that's the weirdest looking clock. And when I wrote the 6 and the 12, it felt wrong. Yeah. But I had the lines.
Right.
And I thought, oh, this is weird. This is the ugliest looking. Actually, it looked like your Mickey Mouse head, sort of. But and then the lady with the breast cancer, I got her the right breast, and then I had it go over just a little to the left. Well, so I'm like, oh, when you told me it was right, and I said, oh, I hope she's not getting on the left.
You never know. You see, that may be a progression or something else. As a matter of fact, as we were doing this, that very lady was having a doctor's appointment looking into that cancer.
Oh, what about the meat versus sugar, like vegetarianism? She was going to ask.
Vegetarianism is not vegetarian is a moral issue, and it's also a health issue. I don't know a whole lot about the health issue, other than I know that our meat is full of stuff other than just protein and meat. Animals are shot up with antibiotics, and they're given chemicals, and they're given steroids to make them grow fast, and there's lots of junk in their food that ends up, of course, in the meat. All that stuff that they eat gets to be part of their cellular structure in the meat, and you get that. So that's probably the health issue with the meat. Also, too much meat, as too much of anything, is not good. We don't need that much protein. So you overwhelm your system with protein, and that's not good for you either. But it's a moral issue. The reason not to eat meat, besides the health thing, is that there's no good reason to kill things if you don't have to. If you have to, it's a different thing. If you're living off the land in the woods someplace, then you kill what you need to kill to eat and stay alive. That's what everything else does out there. And if you go back 100,000 years, the human race was in that fix. They had to kill whatever they could catch in order to stay alive. There's no moral issue there. That's just nature. That's the way it works. If you don't have to kill things to live and be healthy, but you kill them anyway because it's fun, because you like to, because it tastes good, now you've got a moral issue. You know, you're killing things that please you rather than because you need to. If you need to, different. So I see vegetarianism basically as a moral issue. Now, having said that, I would say that I don't, you know, personally, and what I would think that other people also, I don't think that you should be particularly fanatical about things like that. You know, it's not that, you know, I would rather die than eat meat. If I needed to eat meat, I'll eat meat. If I'm a guest at somebody's house and meat is served, I eat it. You know, it's not a big issue that that you're willing to fall on your sword over or whatever. I try to not kill things that don't have to be killed, but I don't take it to an extreme where it becomes an emotional ego issue. So, yeah.
Right here, big picture question about sort of seeing with your mind's eye, seeing other entities and seeing in the greater reality and so on. You've talked about the rendering, the delta T for this reality, and then sort of the higher realms and higher beings are rendered with a faster delta T. There were sort of loops underneath that, so that they're of a different frequency, which sounds very much like your sort of standard metaphysical description of how beings and realms are at higher frequencies as you go up.
Well, the difference there would be that in the typical description of using frequency, again, frequency is a metaphor, right? Frequency, what that really means in a technical term, frequency is a technical word, and what it means in a technical term is that there's something moving back and forth regularly. That's frequency. So it's a physical kind of thing. You know, a tuning fork shakes with a frequency. That is not what the metaphysics people mean when they talk about frequency. You know, they're talking about raise your vibes to a higher frequency kind of thing, and by that they mean higher quality of consciousness. Okay, in these other states, yes, they will have a higher delta T. As you back out, you know, it's like a big simulation, and you have loops inside of loops inside of loops. Well, in that reality frame in which our reality is a part, in which we are created, right, as a reality, then the creator has a higher cycle rate than the created, because it has to do that. If you're in a big simulation and your simulation goes, your outer loop, your most outer loop goes over every second, then there's nothing inside, deeper in your simulation, that can go faster than a second, because that's as fast as your outer loop goes. There are things inside that can go every other second or every 10th second, because then every 10th time you cycle through, you can do that one. And next 10th time you cycle through, you can do that. And so they can be slower, but the outer loop has to be the fastest one. So yes, so that part of the larger conscious system of which we are the product goes faster than we do, because it has to, otherwise it can't create us at our level. But that's not necessarily saying that that's everything there is a higher quality of consciousness. It's just saying that's the mechanics of how the virtual reality gets made. So I'm not equating frequency or what do we call it? Refresh rate with quality of consciousness. It's just the mechanics of the way the thing works.
What do you suggest we do to heal ourselves? And do you recommend when we're healing others that we first put white light through ourselves before we heal others?
I don't think that's necessary. You can do that. Healing yourself is a good idea. Sometimes people have trouble with it because they don't want to look at themselves objectively. They go to heal themselves and they don't want to see anything that isn't nice. So often they skip the diagnosis part because they don't really want to go there. They just start with the giving themselves energy. Oh, I've got a little something that doesn't feel good back here. Let me put some white light on that. Okay, that works, you know, and that's good. And yes, you can do that. No need necessarily to heal yourself before you heal others. You know, the healing yourself and healing others is basically modifying the probability of how an illness will evolve into the future. So it's not like you have to purify yourself before you can purify them. It's not that you're not helping them because of how pure you are. You're helping them because of how good and focused your intent is.